Welcome to the Japanese lesson for beginners. We shall continue to learn more vocabulary and sentence construction before moving on to building conversations. We shall now learn to express time in Japanese,
1時、
which means 1 o'clock,
1時、1時、2時、
which means 2 o'clock,
2時、2時、3時、
which means 3 o'clock,
3時、3時、4時、
which means 4 o'clock,
4時、4時、5時、
which means 5 o'clock,
5時、5時、6時、
which means 6 o'clock,
6時、6時、7時、
which means 7 o'clock,
7時、7時、8時、
which means 8 o'clock,
8時、8時、9時、
which means 9 o'clock,
9時、9時、10時、
which means 10 o'clock,
10時、10時、11時、
which means 11 o'clock,
11時、11時、12時、
which means 12 o'clock,
12時、12時、1分、
which means 1 minute,
1分、1分、2分、
which means 2 minutes,
2分、2分、3分、
which means 3 minutes,
3分、3分、4分、
which means 4 minutes,
4分、4分、5分、
which means 5 minutes,
5分、5分、6分、
which means 6 minutes,
6分、6分、7分、
which means 7 minutes,
7分、7分、8分、
which means 8 minutes,
8分、8分、9分、
which means 9 minutes,
9分、9分、10分、
which means 10 minutes,
10分、10分、20分、
which means 20 minutes,
20分、20分、30分、
or
半、
which means 30 minutes,
30分、半、30分、半、40分、
which means 40 minutes,
40分、40分、50分、
which means 50 minutes,
50分、50分、午前、
is used to indicate the time from midnight until noon. For example,
午前9時、
which means 9 a.m.,
午後、
is used to indicate the time from noon until midnight. For example,
午後9時、
which means 9 p.m.,
今、
which means now,
今、今、何、
which means what,
何、何、時、
which means time or hour,
時、時、 何時、
which means what time.
何時、何時。今何時ですか？
which means what time is it now.
今何時ですか？今何時ですか？午前10時10分です。
which means it is 10:10 a.m.
午前10時10分です。午前10時10分です。です。
is used to link the subject and predicate of the sentence, which roughly translates as to be. It is an expression used to define or describe the subject with a certain level of politeness.
か、
is followed by
です。
to frame interrogative sentences. We shall slowly move on to the conversations. This is a conversation between you and the hotel receptionist. As you were waiting at the lobby, you inquired the receptionist.
すみません。今何時ですか？
Excuse me. What time is it now? The receptionist looked at her watch and responded.
午前10時10分です。
It is 10:10 a.m. You were glad to know that the waiting time was short, as you were informed in advance that the room will be ready by 10:30 a.m. You expressed your gratitude by saying,
ありがとうございます。
"Thank you very much." The receptionist was glad to help and responded,
いいえ、
"It's all right." We shall have a look at the conversation one more time.
すみません。今何時ですか？午前10時10分です。ありがとうございます。いいえ、
We shall look at more Japanese vocabulary,
はい、
which means yes.
はい、はい。専攻、
Which means major.
専攻、専攻。学生、
Which means student.
学生、学生。日本語、
Which means Japanese, referring to the language.
日本語、日本語。大学、
Which means university.
大学、大学。私、
Which means I.
私、私。そうです、
Which means that's right.
そうです。そうです。そうですか？
Which means is that so.
そうですか？そうですか？一年生、
Which means first year student.
一年生、一年生。留学生、
Which means international student.
留学生、留学生。
Thank you for the patient learning. Stay tuned for more updates. If there are any doubts regarding the Japanese lesson, please feel free to ask questions in the comment section.